Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today is a fun but also kind of serious video. We're doing a book recommendation video, and since January is Mental Health Awareness Month, we are doing a video that recommends books that deal with mental health issues. But before we get into that, I decided since it was Mental Health Awareness Month, I'd give you guys just a few tips in our everyday life to help our mental health because, well, there are a lot of different mental health issues, as we know. Some are some are closer to like diseases that can affect our mental health. Some are less serious, but for a big portion of our population deals with at least some level of depression and anxiety, even if it's not on a clinical level. So I myself have gone through anxiety programs, and I've studied the work of a doctor named Neil Nedley. He has a depression and anxiety residency program out in California. And when I say residency program, that might not be the right word, but he has like a clinic where people with depression and anxiety can come and stay for like 2 weeks and get inpatient treatment for that. So they're like in residence. I don't think that's the right term for it though. But it's an inpatient. He also does outpatient work as well, but he has a big inpatient clinic in California that is, he's an award-winning doctor with his work in depression and anxiety. So I have a little booklet here from him. And, you know, he talks about, especially for his outpatients, when you have signs of depression and anxiety that aren't necessarily on like clinical, must be treated by a doctor level, there are some things that you can do at home for those things. And he talks about retraining your neural pathways because he says our biochemicals in our body can have a lot to do with depression and anxiety. And so here, a quote from his little booklet here says, "Brain chemistry plays an incredible role in mental well-being. Serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine are 3 key neurotransmitters that our brain is reliant upon for positive mental health and optimal function." So he gives like advice. I've listened to his lectures before where he gives advice for at-home things that you can do to boost these neurotransmitters and to help your mental health. Some things he suggests are exercise, of course, because we know exercise releases good endorphins. He suggests eating foods that have tryptophans in them because tryptophans help our body produce serotonin. He also suggests using light therapy boxes. Some of you may know these. They can be called happy lights. I just call them light therapy boxes. I have one. And they produce like a really bright light that's similar to the UVs that you get from the sun. And if you use it like for 20 minutes, like face it towards your face for 20 minutes right when you first wake up every morning, it can really help you. It helps reset your circadian rhythm so you get better sleep, which sleep is another thing to help with mental health. It also helps release certain endorphins and neurotransmitters that help with your mental health, so light therapy boxes are really good ones. Good nutrition is really good. Staying hydrated. I listened to a lecture from him once where he was like, it is amazing how big a difference good hydration makes in a person's mental health. And that's not just drinking anything you want, like soda is very dehydrating. Like you have to drink water. Water is very hydrating, and getting the proper amount of water really helps your body regulate as it should. So that's a really big one. But yeah, those are just a few things at home, you know, that seem really simple. Eating right, getting good water, exercising, getting light, getting out in the sun, getting outside in the fresh air. All those things are really simple things that we should be doing in our life anyway, but we don't really because we get busy with our grinding day-to-day life. But if we add those things into our life, it can really help our mental health on a day-to-day basis. Now, obviously, there are mental health issues that go far beyond just the regular population has that needs treatments from doctors or programs like he has out in California. But for the most of us that just, struggle with it here and there, those simple remedies can be really, really helpful. And that's all advice from Dr. Nedley, who is, like I said, award-winning and works with depression and anxiety patients on a day-to-day basis. So that was my PSA for Mental Health Awareness Month. And now we're going to get into the fun stuff, which is the stuff I know y'all are really here for. So I have 7 book recommendations where the main character or a character in the story deals with some kind of mental health crisis. Now, I have not read all of these books. I have only read 2 of the 7 books on this list. But I did do a lot of research, and I have heard good things about them, and they're dealing with mental health. They're all Christian fiction. And I also have their average Goodread star reviews on here to share with you. Since I haven't read them myself, most of them, I thought I'd share their average reviews on Goodreads so that you guys know that I'm giving you what I hope are good recommendations. So the first one is actually a Christmas novel, and it's All's Fair in Love and Christmas by Sarah Monzon. I just read this in December, so last month. It has 3.51 average stars on Goodreads, and the main character has very intense social anxiety. As this is a book that I have read myself, and I thought that they dealt with anxiety, especially from a Christian standpoint, very, very well. Especially since, as Christians, anxiety can have a really bad moniker a lot because people are just like, oh, just pray harder and it'll be fine. But I felt like this book really handled it well from a Christian standpoint, and talking about how therapy, and it's not weakness for a Christian to get therapy, and how one of the things the book says is like, God gives us strength, but he also surrounds us with people who are able to help us. I mean, he invented doctors for a reason. You know, if you have a serious medical condition, yes, you pray and you trust God and you believe in his promises for healing, but you also go to the doctor because he created doctors to have extra information to help us get better. Well, he created therapists for the same thing. They have extra information to help our mental health. So yes, we pray and we trust in him and we believe in his word, and that helps a lot. But we can also turn to therapy and trust that God gave us therapists and gave them extra knowledge and extra studies so that they can help us. And I thought having that point in the book was just really, really good, and I liked it. So I would definitely recommend that one. Book number 2 is A Love Like Ours by Becky Wade. This deals with a character with PTSD, and it has 4.31 average stars on Goodreads. The third book is A Season to Love by Nicole Deese. The characters in this book deal with anxiety and also with child's cancer. And I know that child's cancer isn't a mental health issue, but the stress surrounding dealing with a child with cancer can definitely affect your mental health. So I added that in there. It has 4.47 average stars on Goodreads. The fourth book is Illusion of Love by Sarah Hamaker. The main character in this book has agoraphobia, diagnosed agoraphobia, which for those of you that don't know, agoraphobia is basically just a phobia of going out and being around people. It's kind of like social anxiety, but it's an actual diagnosable phobia disorder. Anxiety and social anxiety are also diagnosable disorders, but it's it's a separate thing, even though it presents similarly. So Illusion of Love has 4.62 average stars on Goodreads. The next one is Under the Magnolias by T.I. Lowe, and all the descriptions for this one just say that the main character deals with mental health. I don't really know what it is specifically because I haven't read this book, and all the descriptions just say that it deals with mental health. But it has 4.22 average stars on Goodreads. The next one is Stories That Bind Us by Susan Finkbeiner. I have read this one. It's on my shelf back here somewhere. It has an average of 4.22 stars on Goodreads as well. And this one deals with a lot. It deals with depression, it deals with suicide, it deals with grief, it deals with fear, it deals with both emotional and physical abuse. Because the main character in this book, her mother had mental health issues and committed suicide, and her sister also has the same mental health issues that her mother has. Because it takes place in the 1960s and they did not have a lot of research on mental health, it never really names what's going on. But I believe from the descriptions that the mother and sister are manic depressive. But the sister leaves her young, like 5-year-old son with the main character because the sister has to go into a mental institution to deal with her mental health issues. And her mental health issues have caused her to abuse her son on and off, not purposely, but when she has certain bouts of mental health issues, you know, she can't necessarily control what she's doing. So in those instances, she has abused her son. So her son has that to deal with. And so there's just a lot going on. There's also racial issues going along because the boy, the 5-year-old boy, is of mixed race, and it is the 1960s. So it's like a white main character raising her mixed race nephew, so there's that going on as well. Although that's not necessarily mental health, so I wouldn't necessarily relate it to this video, but there's that as well. So there's a lot of stuff going on in that book. But I think that Susie Finkbeiner actually handles it really, really well. Like, it's not too heavy and it's not overwhelming, because you would think with all of those issues going on in a novel that it would be really overwhelming and really overly emotional, but it's not. Like, because you're just going through like day-to-day life with them. It's just really kind of like a slow, melancholic kind of prose, is what I'd say. So I think it's a really good viewing on those things, because there are so many hard things discussed in the novel, but it's not overwhelming. So there's that. And then the 7th and final book on the list is A Time to Dance by Karen Kingsbury. Similar to the T.I. Lowe book, when I did the research for these books, A Time to Dance didn't necessarily specify what mental health issue was being presented in the novel. It just, in all the reviews, it just says that this novel deals with mental health. So I don't really have anything specific to say on that one. It has 4.3 stars on average on Goodreads. So those are 7 books that deal with mental health, that if you want to read more books dealing with mental health in January, the month of mental health awareness, those are 7 books that have good stars on Goodreads. They're Christian fiction, so you know you're going to get it from a Christian point of view. And yeah, those are my recommendations. Thank you guys for joining me, and I will see you in the next video.